Well, this may be a little better lighting than I had before. I'm in my living room. This is again Louise Thundercloud. This morning, I wanted to reiterate what I've been um, trying to get across to any parent who might be considering putting their child into a placement with the Department of Disabilities Administration. You will be at a severe disadvantage when it comes to actions taken by the providers that you do not agree with, that do not serve the needs of your child or adult. The Department of Disabilities Administration will back up anything that the provider and his psychologist state. Now, here's what I want you to consider. The psychologist may actually have no training in your child or adult disability. For example, autism. Uh, Frontline Community Services is only one of several placements my daughter had um, where the psychologist did not have a background per se in autism, but did have a background per se in mental illness. That puts your child or loved one or adult at extreme risk for being over-medicated. If we recall, the District of Columbia returned all out-of-state placements from the Florida Institute for Neurological Disabilities or Neurological Disorders back to the District of Columbia because the District of Columbia claimed that it wanted to save money, that it was able to serve the populations they'd never served before, which would have been the autistic and the medically fragile. They were brought back, and the providers are more than likely, and I say more than likely because I've run into quite a few of them that were providers prior to this decision being made, who may have lost their licenses or their contracts with DC, but were given contracts again under new names. Frontline Community Services is run by D2 Abraham, who was once with Project Redirect. My understanding is that Project Redirect was not a very good provider in the first place. So what I'm seeing with D2 Abraham is just a perfection of his skills that he learned in working with Project Redirect and working with PSI Day Program. I recommend that all parents do their homework on the providers that DDS is suggesting for their children prior to allowing them to be placed. Find out who these providers are, what their track records are, long before you place your child. Also, make sure that you get an agreement with the Disabilities Administration on how much leeway you're going to allow these providers to have. If at all, do not allow DC through the Disabilities Administration to place your child in a residential facility. At that point, you lose every single option to control what happens to your loved one. DC backs up its contracted providers through the Disabilities Administration, even when the methods that they use are proven to be harmful. I please ask you to consider all these things before allowing any of this to happen, because we're talking about very precious, vulnerable adults and children who are now at the mercy of these providers and the direct care staff.